Clarence Thomas has done some stuff that is arguably corrupt. I know that I'm rocking your world. I'm shocking you by declaring that. And I know that you think I'm referring to the months of stories that have come out primarily from the amazing investigatory work of ProPublica, but I am not. I mean, I am talking about ProPublica, but it's new stuff on top of all of that. They've found even more unreported gifts and trips and hotel stays and private jets and all of that stuff. So let me try to catch you up on the extra stuff being added to the mountain of corruption. The mountain of corruption that I will remind you, don't get too excited, will lead to nothing happening. But here is what has already happened. They have identified at least 38 destination vacations, including a previously unreported voyage on a yacht around the Bahamas. Ooh, that sounds very nice. 26 private jet flights, plus an additional 8 by helicopter. That is so many helicopter trips. A dozen VIP passes to professional and college sporting events, typically perched in the skybox. Elysium, but for sports. 2 stays at luxury resorts in Florida and Jamaica. 1 standing invitation to an Uber exclusive golf club overlooking the Atlantic coast. All of that, again, we've known so much about what he has already done, but I want you, dear viewer, to think about your life, the life you've already lived and the life that you hope to lead. Will you take 38 vacations in your entire GD life? I know I won't. And that's just the ones that he was gifted over the last couple of decades. And so look, there's a lot more about this. They've done great work and you should definitely support ProPublica for what they're doing here. But Mondale, it is crazy how pervasive. He didn't spend a weekend in DC over the last 20 years. He was jetting off to Belize and he was going to Hawaii and he was going everywhere. What do you think?
Clarence Thomas has pimped the Supreme Court to make him the political version of Tony Montana. This man is jetting around in jets, 26 private jet flights from donors. He's sitting in sports boxes. He's a rapper. He's a rapper without a single hit. He's beyond the one-hit wonder. He's taken the seat that was earned and also fought so hard for by Thurgood Marshall and turned it into his personal vacation tour. He doesn't even need to own. He has the best. He has the best timeshare ever. The man is using the Supreme Court as a timeshare, and he's killing it. The sad part about it is, all of those events, you better believe, come with influence.
Yep.
And that influence is not for the betterment of American people. It is for the betterment, the benefit for the few, and most likely very few people, exclusive people that can afford to send somebody somewhere on a yacht around the Bahamas or on a private jet 26 times. Yeah. That is disgusting.
Yeah, and we know some of those people. He's involved in this Horatio Alger Association, an association which, by the way, when a new member comes in, $200,000 needs to be donated. They don't need to necessarily do the donating. Someone else could do the donating for them, but this is a very high-priced thing. And I will just say that some of them, unlike Harlan Crow, there are these individuals. Let's see, I want to mention some of their names. We have oil baron Paul Tony Novelli. He's one of the billionaires. You got H. Wayne Huizenga. When your first name is H. Dot, you know you're a billionaire. David Sokol. Some of them, by the way, have not individually had cases before the Supreme Court during the time that they've been involved and known Clarence Thomas. And if that makes you feel better about this, I want you to consider how the world works. So they have not individually had cases there, but they are all massively invested in industries that are massively affected by the decisions of the Supreme Court. Do we believe that because they are not literally standing in the Supreme Court, or their chosen high dollar lawyer is not standing in the Supreme Court, that Clarence Thomas, it's just lost on him what effect his decisions could have on all of his billionaire benefactors? That is not affecting how he rules, which cases he chooses to take or not? Come on, nobody is that naive. Anyway, if you are that naive, I've got a high-priced yacht trip to sell you, I guess. But in any event, again, to go back to the intro, Mondale, nothing is gonna come of this. The Supreme Court is fighting against future ethics constraints, not consequences for what's already happened. Nobody is talking about impeachment or anything like that. Nobody in DC is talking about court expansion. And they're fighting against the idea that they might have to, in the future, disclose these trips. Any final thoughts?
I just think we need to be considering impact over intent, right? And we can say what we want to, whether the impact or the intent was to have influence over this Supreme Court justice. I guarantee the impact is it is. We should start counting the cases where he's ruled against any of these people or any of their interests, whether they were there or not, or by proxy. This is absolutely disgusting, and it makes a mockery of the way that we choose our Supreme Court. This is why I'm for expanding the Supreme Court, where Republicans choose a certain amount, Democrats choose a certain amount, and then some other body choose the rest, so we can make up a Supreme Court that makes some relevance of equality. Because right now, this is as dumb. The way we choose our Supreme Court is as dumb as the way we create congressional districts.
100%. Yeah. And by the way, there's a concept of when you have a conflict of interest, you recuse yourself from a case. What if your entire life is a conflict of interest? Should you not recuse yourself from the court at a certain point? Anyway, nothing's gonna happen, so don't hold your breath.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.